Is that just, would you say, in your personality to throw yourself in the deep end?
Yeah, what is wrong with me? Yeah, I think in my life, like when I've had shame, if I can then make it into a joke, you have a power over it. When you manage to make it funny, it's like almost like you've kind of got to the other side of it.
You're on my favourite show, Last One Laughing. I loved every minute of watching that. Was it a delight to film?
It was so fun. I mean, it was kind of overwhelming at the beginning because it was like all my comedy heroes. So I think the first hour is me just trying to run away from people. I hardly ever gigged with other women. It was like they'd put one woman on reluctantly because they knew they should, and it's got so much better. But it used to be people coming up to you and saying, oh, you know, like I don't usually find women funny.
Wow.
Me and Lou always say whenever we're going anywhere, we go, well, if we can't pull here, we can't pull anywhere, but then we don't.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's very nice to be here. Hello.
It's so great to have you here.
Thank you.
I was talking to Josh Widdicombe about you yesterday.
Oh, God.
Do you know who he likened you to?
I dread to think Mr. Bean.
No. Lana Del Rey. Yes. He said Harriet is very much like Lana. She's her own woman.
That is not what he says in person. I will say that's really nice.
It's a great
That's nice.
compliment.
Yeah, that is a great compliment. I'll take that.
Take it.
Yeah.
As I said, you're on my favourite show, Last One Laughing. I loved every minute of watching that. Was it a delight to film?
It was so fun. I mean, it was kind of overwhelming at the beginning because it was like all my comedy heroes. And also, like, I don't know how to speak and not laugh. Like, it's just not a thing I've ever done before. And so I think the first hour is me just trying to run away from people. Like, Richard Ayoade is literally, like, chasing me. And so it was a weird kind of, like, adapting to try and do that because it was so fun.
Had you met any of you're obviously friends with Lou, but had you met any of them before?
Yeah, Lou's a really good friend of mine, but and the others I'd kind of met. Like I'd done Richard's show before, but he doesn't give much away.
No.
So you could have met Richard before, but you still don't really know what's happening.
No.
But yeah, like I didn't know like Bob Mortimer or anything.
He's a legend.
Yeah.
And how can you not laugh at Bob Mortimer? It's almost impossible.
I know, it's like illegal.
It's
kind of.
illegal.
Yeah.
You went out in fine style singing Minnie Riperton. It was the best thing ever.
It was so stressful because they started like Jimmy was like, you have to sing, and then it worked its way around, and I was having a mini panic attack because it's my worst nightmare is like to sing on TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, but this is what's happening, and then I just lost my mind.
It's so good. I love singing, but I hate singing in front of people. I can't think of anything worse.
So you just do it privately?
Yeah, really go for it in the car, when I'm pottering around the kitchen. Like, I'll belt out a tune, but if there's people near me, absolutely. Like, if you told me to sing now, there's absolutely no way.
See, when I was 8, I once sang in the car to the radio, and I finished, and my dad went, "Well, we know you're not going to be a singer," and that stuck. You know, yeah. So I think that's the first time I've sung.
Yeah, just a light bit of trauma for your childhood
yeah.
there. The end of your pop career. It was so brilliant. I just loved it. As you said, Lou is a mate of yours. She is incredible. I've interviewed her once and I just absolutely love her. You just went to Glastonbury together.
We did, yeah. We went to Glastonbury. It was, we hired a camper van, which we tried to get someone to lend us one, and surprisingly no one would. Absolutely nobody. We kept asking people and they were like, no, not for you two.
Right.
So we borrowed one from this man called Ian in Salisbury, and I think when he turned up, he was like, oh no, I'm not seeing that van again. And so
One of you was driving the van?
Yeah, Lou drove.
Lou drove it?
Yeah, we're both bad drivers, but Lou is just confident, but she shouldn't be. But realised she did amazingly. She did so well, but it was like we had to learn like a GCSE and camper vans basically. Like, there's so much to learn. Like the prep was just insane.
Like, what did you learn from that process?
I learned not to do it.
Right.
That's what I learned. Yeah, just don't do it. Just is kind of just worth getting a tent, I think. No, it was kind of lovely. We had our own little beds and we really got into like van life.
Yeah.
We were kind of imagining ourselves
Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, traveling the globe in our van. Yeah.
I think a van is better. The problem for me with tents is the brightness in the morning.
Yeah.
4 a.m, you're awake.
This is the issue. I went to Benicassim with a friend years ago when we were like 21, and she's American, so she's quite complainy. And we would every morning that we'd be woken up at like 5 a.m. by the tent, you just go, and it would just, the air would have left the tent and then we'd have to leave. And then there's just no air conditioning in Spain and she just couldn't understand it. And so there was no shelter from the sun. And so we'd just go and stand in the sea. Like I've just got this picture of her looking so sad in the sea. And then we'd go and drink and the pattern would repeat.
Yeah, it's very much a cyclical scenario, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But van life, A-OK.
Van life, yeah, me and Lou, we're going to hit the road. No one wants that.
I do. I'm massively here for that. You've had quite the year this year. Would you say the most hectic yet?
Definitely the most hectic. Yeah, it's all been a bit confusing. Like I'm quite slow to like cotton on to things. So yeah, it's all been a bit confusing, but very nice.
Yeah. I mean, you've had obviously Last One Laughing. You've been touring, doing all of these big shows. Does it feel overwhelming at any point?
Yeah, a little bit. I think I've been doing stand up for such a long time now that it's quite funny when people are like, "Oh, you're the new up and comer," and you're like, "I've been doing this for 15 years." I can't really get away with that anymore. But yeah, it's really lovely. I just feel very grateful. Yeah.
And you're a single mum. How are you juggling sort of kid life with late night gigs and everything going on?
It is, I would say, fucking chaos.
Yeah,
It's complete chaos. I have a rota of babysitters that are amazing. That some of them we've had like right from the start. But every night it's different. And her dad is a comic as well, so we both often are out in the evenings. And so even though I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this, but we have to see each other like multiple times a week.
Yeah.
And so we just have to park any personal issues with each other, and then just like pass her back and forth. And it means we're very involved, and we try and take her where we can. And but yeah, the juggle of it is insane.
Because also being a stand-up, you're working at night, not
And they don't have nursery at night.
No, that's a shame.
Yes, that is it's a real shame. Someone's really, I've really made a mistake there.
Right.
But yeah, my parents are really good, and they take her like one weekend a month, and so she gets to go and have fun with them, and so they're really supportive. And I've got some amazing friends and my sister is great, just stepping in last minute when I've inevitably made a mistake at some point. Yeah.
And are you good at winding down after a show? Because again, you're on stage, you can feel quite buzzed up by that, but you know you've then got to get to sleep because your kid's going to wake up at probably 6 a.m. Are you good at getting to sleep straight away?
I think now it's more of a necessity. Like it used to be that you could kind of stay up, but Mabel's very cute, and she kind of wakes up every morning where she goes, "Mummy, it's morning time!"
Yes.
And it's so sweet, but it's just like, let's go.
Let's go.
So there's no, it's like you've got to get to sleep as soon as possible. I think it's hard sometimes when you've been driving for a long time. That's when you do a show and then you drive, and then you have to try and switch off, and you're like, don't drive into anything, but you're like, I'm back, so your brain's still there.
It's full on.
Yeah.
I mean, you and your ex-husband have been pretty open about divorce. You went on a podcast where you individually talked about the process of divorce and how you're getting through it. Does that feel cathartic, like a helpful thing to be open about it?
I don't know if we would do that now, but I think it was.
Is that regret?
Was good. No, it wasn't a regret.
No.
It's just when things are clipped up and then put online, and all your old friends are seeing it. That's not necessarily something that you need necessarily. And so yeah, I think we both are very open, and we both have talked about things the whole time. It's kind of with stand-up, it's kind of how we process stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not completely straightforward, I would
No,
say.
of course not.
Yeah.
And I guess that is, if sort of shit hits the fan in my life, I usually end up writing a book about it, and it does feel quite cathartic. And also, there's a book that's come out of it for you. I'm imagining material. You're getting material out of it.
That's it. I had the year that we divorced was one of the maddest years of my life, and things would happen that would be really bad at the moment, but I'd be like, this is going to be really fun for other people later. This feels bad right now, but this is for the people that come to see my shows. Yeah, they're going to enjoy laughing at my pain. This is absurd. Yeah.
No, I think it's a really healthy thing to be chatting about it and also finding the humour in it. Being a stand-up and obviously naturally leaning into humour, have you always had the ability to turn tricky things on their head slightly or to see the funny side?
I find it really helpful. I think in my life, like when I've had shame, if I can then make it into a joke, you have a power over it. When you manage to make it funny, it's like almost like you've kind of, unless you're doing it from a place of pain, it sometimes can feel like you've got to the other side of it. And I mean, and you can really tell if you've got to the other side of it because people laugh at the joke, and if they don't laugh, it's because they're worried about you.
Yeah.
So you really can tell quite quickly if you're through it or not. But yeah, I find it really helpful. I'm dyspraxic, and when I was younger, there was a lot of chaos, falling over, breaking things, and I think dyspraxics are very good at having a sense of humor and laughing at yourself, and I find it a very helpful thing, I think, to not take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, I think you're so right, especially with shame, because shame breeds in silence. And if you've got something, ruminating or something you're really worried about, the minute you tell someone, it does just dissipate
Yeah.
slightly or takes the edge off it, or something that felt maybe mortifying becomes embarrassing, like 1 degree
Yeah,
better.
the more you share it, it's like you give a little bit of shame to everybody else.
Yeah, you have my shame.
You just
You have
share,
it.
yeah, you share the embarrassment out, and then it filters, and you're not just alone, feeling overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, without a doubt. You had a show, a big show in London called Everything Always Works Out for Me. Now, this is based on a quote that you and your friends heard. And what did you think when you heard that quote straight away?
It was something me and my friend Melissa heard. It was on TikTok. Like I think a lot of teenagers were saying it. They'd be like, "Everything always works out for me," and then they get like they'd be like, "It did because I got free chips." But we were trying to look at it as like a kind of a bigger thing, and it's something me and Lou always say as well. Like we always try and say like, "Everything always works out for me." And when we were in Glastonbury, her phone had broken on the way to Glastonbury, and then we got to Glastonbury, and she was like, "I'm gonna go out in Glastonbury and buy an iPhone," and everyone was like, "No, obviously that's not going to happen." And everyone was like, "That's no one's going to have an iPhone for sale at Glastonbury."
No.
And so we left the artist bit, and then we were like, we walked all around Glastonbury. We couldn't find anything, and then we walked back again, and we were like, "Oh!" And then we ran into someone was walking towards us in my cap, saying, "Everything always works out for me," from my tour show. It was our friend Pete, and he happened to be wearing it. He'd bought it a year before. He appeared out of nowhere, walked towards us wearing this hat, and then he said, "Oh, where have you been?" We were like, "Oh, we're just looking for an iPhone, but we can't find one. Like we shouldn't have been looking at Glastonbury." He's like, "My wife Hazel has a spare iPhone."
What?
And he had an iPhone, so everything always works out for me. Walk towards us.
That is
We were like,
amazing.
we have to repeat it. Yes,
We do.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you hear those affirmation things, and obviously I hear a lot of this stuff, and I interview a lot of people that are like, there's people here doing workshops today on positive affirmation and mindset. And when you're in a good mood, you're like, yeah, I'm going to take over the world. Everything is going to work out for me. When things are going badly, that is the most annoying thing to hear like in the world. That's the last thing you want to hear. It's the pits.
Yeah, you want to try and be positive, but me and Lou always say whenever we're going anywhere, we go, "Well, if we can't pull here, we can't pull anywhere," but then we don't. Sometimes being positive backfires, yeah.
So are you going out as single ladies together?
No, we've just been on some holidays and stuff, and then yeah, we always say that, and then we just go to bed early. That's on us.
I love it. What's dating like life? Have you been sort of on apps or going on speed dating? Is that a thing or is that a 90s thing? I'm very out of the loop. What happened?
No, we did. Me and so I have a podcast. It's called Single Ladies in Your Area. Because me and my friend Amy Gladehill, she's a comedian. She's very funny. We both came out of these kind of decade-long relationships, and we'd missed dating apps.
Yeah.
And so in the first episode, Amy set up her Hinge profile like on the podcast, and then we did go to a speed dating event. But the problem was it became like a slow dating event.
Oh.
I'm not sure what happened, but the first one was 45 minutes.
Wow.
That's too long.
Does that mean it's going well?
No, it wasn't going well in any way. But it went on and on. It was so long. So we tried speed dating, and that was slow dating. But yeah, we're trying lots of different things. And I think for the first year after the divorce, I just kind of, my whole body was just like confused, I think, and I kind of shut down. And I think I also kind of saw myself as like, my identity was like married woman, so it was like I am prude married woman, like an old Victorian lady, and then it just felt so weird to kind of go out there again and be like, oh no, remember who you were before. Let's not go as far as we were in our early 20s,
No.
but let's rate it in a bit. But remember who you are. You can still have fun even though you have a child.
And how is that? I mean, I've heard you talk about this a bit on the podcast, but being a comedian, being funny, how does that work out in the sort of early days of dating?
Well, there is this rhetoric that like men don't really like funny women, that it's like a thing that they're off put by. And I'm trying to change the rhetoric by saying that they do. They don't. But I'm trying to change it. But then I keep saying it in these interviews and it really backfires because it becomes the headline.
Right.
I did this interview with them, with The Independent. And then I was like, like, they were like, what do you think about dating? Like, do men like funny women? It can be a thing. And I was like, actually, only insecure men don't like funny women. And my sister, and then I was like, oh, that's going to be the headline. And then my sister read the article and she was like, Harriet, it wasn't the headline, it's not in it. And I was like, no, look at the front page of The Independent. There's a picture of me looking really smug going, only insecure men don't like funny women. It's completely humiliating. Yeah.
And we've just talked about it again. So that's,
oh no, I've done it
really
again,
good.
yeah.
You've done it again, babe. So when things aren't working out brilliantly for you, are you good at coping?
I think so. I'm quite good at laughing at things, I think, and they do go wrong quite often. So I have experience, I guess, in that way. I think so.
What about on stage? If things aren't going well on stage, how do you cope?
Well, it's the best way to cope is to try and find it funny and then try and connect with them, because if you're having a fun time, they will. The worst thing is pretending that it's not going badly.
Oh, right.
Because then everyone can see, and
that's
then
not fun.
Yeah, and then you just start speaking quicker and quicker and just kind of being like, let's just get this over with, and everybody's like, yeah.
It's so hard. We've had many stand-up comedians on the podcast, and it's something I'm always so intrigued about because it is a tough job, especially when you're starting out and you've got to deal with almost instant rejection of people not really knowing who you are in those early days of doing stand-up, trying new material for the first time, not knowing if it's going to land or not. And that is a horrible feeling when, especially when you're telling a joke, you want laughter at the end of it. If there isn't any, that's bleak.
Yeah, it's a pretty brutal, people call it an art form, I don't know if it is, but it's a pretty brutal thing. It's like one of the only things where there's immediate feedback, and so if something doesn't work because people don't laugh.
Yeah.
Which is, helpful in some ways.
Do you think you have to have a thick skin or you cultivate one? No, you do.
I think I know people that have done it that have found it very hard to deal with the setbacks. I think for me, being dyspraxic helped in that I was used to making mistakes, and I think you just have to be used to getting rejected, which I think then stands you in good stead for dating. I think having a thick skin and not taking things personally is a useful thing for life.
Are there any areas of your life where that doesn't apply? Because sometimes I could be pretty resilient at work, and if I'm, up for a job and it didn't happen or whatever, I can sort of deal with it. But then in my actual life, that doesn't always translate as clearly. Would you say there's bits, parts of your life where you're not as thick-skinned or rejection feels a bit stingier?
I guess with parenting, like making mistakes, that's like you never want to make a mistake with parenting, and that's been a thing that you definitely, you're more raw, I think, to it.
But we all do like every day.
Yeah, that's what's
I do
tough.
at least like 4 mistakes every day.
Yeah.
I mean, as I was just saying before you came out, I let my kids watch Last One Laughing. I don't know if that's even appropriate. There was some pretty racy things that happened and bad language, but I was like, they're going to love this.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
I've heard of children watching it. One said that their child tried to recreate the ping pong ball thing.
Amazing.
Which that's not.
So if you haven't seen that, Harriet, could you explain what that is?
Okay, I set myself up there.
Yeah.
I did this striptease, I think maybe the least sexy striptease, where I took off a compression sock and some bandages and some plasters, and then I mimed.
What are the words to describe it?
Yeah, looking everyone in the face. I mimed being able to do a popular trick with ping balls coming out of what the Daily Mail has called my nether regions.
There you go. It was so good. It was so good because it was so unexpected. I didn't see it coming. I really didn't. It was great. I've heard you say before that your style of comedy, it's not something that you can make up. You're it's a butterfly. It's like we're in a fairy tale. Oh my God.
Yeah, wow.
You're just obviously you, and you have a tendency to overshare in that setting. Is that something you worry about?
I think definitely now having Mabel, I'm much more conscious about what I say. Like, I would never want to say anything negative about her. That's something that I don't want to have anything in print that then she grows up and she looks on the internet and she's like, my mum said what?
Yeah.
I think that would feel bad. And so that's something I'm very conscious about. But it's just something I can't help doing. It's
Yeah.
like a compulsion.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
I overshare when I'm nervous or I'm with someone that's giving me nothing. And I
Yeah.
then give them too much and then I go to bed and I can't sleep because I just am in a worry
True.
cycle about all the things I
Yeah,
said.
I get that. I think it's just like I find it. It's a way of connecting. Like I
Yeah.
think I find small talk very difficult. I never really know what to
I
say.
hate it.
Yeah, I hate it too. So I'd rather just really go
Deep
deep.
straight
Yeah.
away. Yeah, I'm the same. The worst thing is if you go to a wedding and they do I'm going to mix you up with people you don't know
Oh
because that's going to
God.
be fun
Yeah.
and you can make friends with my friends. I don't want to. I've got friends. I don't want your friends and I can I go and sit with my friend Ali down there because I'll be comfortable down there. It's the worst thing and then you have to do bullshit small talk and weddings are so
Yeah.
long. They go on for
Yeah.
like a day, and you have to. And I'm the same as you. I'll cut to the bleakest thing that's ever happened to me, rather than ask them, "Are you going on holiday?" It's the pits.
They don't like it.
No,
No, they don't like
no.
it. Yeah,
Maybe
it
that's what
really.
we're secretly hoping for. That they'll then just leave.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It really
Yeah,
brings down the wedding. I guess.
it
Yeah.
really does. Small
Yeah.
talk is the absolute pits. Um, Doing stand up is obviously quite a niche career, and it's not something that perhaps you get in your school careers advising session. They say you should do stand up. And I've heard you say before that your parents actually kind of prompted you to do it.
Yeah, I've never met another stand-up still whose parents have suggested it.
No.
Everyone else is like, I want my child to be a lawyer, or a doctor, and mine are like, I guess stand up. We've run out of other options. And so yeah, it was very sweet. They were watching. I thought I wanted to do like acting, like serious acting, but I was getting cast in more and more kind of like comedy roles, and then and I'd started to do bits of writing, and my parents were watching live at the Apollo one night, and I spoke to my mum the next day, and she was like, "We think you should try stand-up comedy," and I was like, "That's mad." Like no one I knew did stand-up. It wasn't a thing I grew up watching or seeing anyone I knew doing. And she was like, "No, I think we should do it," and I went out and I just kind of did it secretly for months because it felt so embarrassing to say that I thought that I was funny. And so that's something I do really recommend. I think people kind of tell people when they're going to do it, and that's a lot of pressure. I think just do it secretly.
But how do
Yeah.
you go from your parents have said you should try stand up to then you're on a stage? Like, what's the process of.
I literally Googled stand up London, and this this night came up that you could just apply for, and so I applied for it in like 2 months, and I was like, well, I bet I've got to write a 5-minute set,
Oh
which I
my
didn't really
God.
know how to do. But then I started watching, like I've started watching some comedy online. I'd seen a few people because I was working front of house at the Lyric in Hammersmith, and they'd started to do a stand-up night every Sunday, once a month, every once a month on a Sunday. You know what I mean? Yeah, wait a second. It was once a month on a Sunday. Okay.
That's the one.
Yeah, last Sunday of the month. It's catchy. So, and Sarah Millican had been on, and Richard Herring, and Tony Law, and I was like, oh, I could kind of start to see people that were maybe a little bit like me, I guess. Yeah, then I just did it, and as soon as I did it, I was like, this is it. This is the thing.
Such a terrifying thing to do, though.
Felt sick. I felt sick for days.
I bet,
Yeah.
but you still did it. I think that's always like the interesting point where you've had this idea, it's so terrifying. I reckon 99% of people at that point go, I just won't do it, or I'll do it next year, and then it never happens. Is that just, would you say, in your personality to throw yourself in the deep end and just give things a try?
Yeah, what is wrong with me? Yeah, I think that it definitely is. I've had this motto, I don't know why, since I was young, which is just to do the thing that scares you the most. And it really scared me. But I think it is a thing I say, like a lot of people say to me, oh, I'd like to try stand up. And I say, you just have to book it in and then it's in. It's something about having I'm very kind of accountable to others. And so I did it. And then someone offered me a gig from that. And then you get offered another gig. And then before you know it, it's too late.
Yeah, you're in it.
Yeah,
You're
you're
doing
in
it.
it, yeah.
I mean, what was that first gig like? You're waiting backstage, you're waiting to go on, you're feeling sick.
It was just insane. I've never known fear
No.
like it. It just was mad. And then for months, I was doing this job where I had to be at my desk at 6 a.m. every day and typing up the news. It was like I got replaced by robots pretty quickly.
Okay.
But you had to type up the news, and then but you were listening to all these like terrible like news things, and then I started stand up at that point, and so I was just like going a bit insane, just listening to bad news and not getting much sleep because I had to be at my desk, and because I didn't tell anyone. I then, when I did eventually tell people I worked with, they were like, "Oh, we thought you had like a really bad drug problem or something because you were just going around talking to yourself." I was just repeating my set. And so it was this period of my life when I started stand-up that it just, at one point, like, my kidneys hurt. I was like, this can't be,
This can't be good. No.
This can't be good, yeah.
But I'm still going to do it anyway.
It's just, I'm still doing it,
Yeah, I think the thing that puts most people off, like when I've had chats like this, or even just chatting to mates, when you've got an idea, you want to, I don't know, you want to write a book, or you want to change career, you want to try something new. The thing that stops us doing it is the fear of failure, because that risk it's a real risk. It's there. What's your relationship with that like, with knowing that you could fail? It might not work out.
I think that is, again, it's a good thing with dyspraxia is that you're used to failing so much, it becomes like a thing you're good at. Me and my friend Melissa talk about this as well, though, as another thing is just like you have to go through the cringe. Like whenever you start anything, you're bad at it, and it's so embarrassing, and to put yourself out there is just so humbling in so many ways. I mean, and so you start stand up and friends come and watch you some nights and it doesn't go well, and they're like, wow, she's really doing this, and then sometimes it goes well, and it's just at the beginning, you're not good. You have to be bad for a bit.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I think that's also a real modern day problem, is that we think we're meant to be good at the thing straight away, and actually, most things take years and years. I was awful at interviewing for, obviously I was like 15, I don't know what on earth, I was like interviewing Bewitched, talking utter shite, or Five, all of the bands of the time, and it takes like hundreds of hours to get good at something, and you've just got to stick these things out.
Yeah, I think what is helpful is I have really low expectations for myself. So I'm just always thrilled to be anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, this is nice. Thanks for having me. That
Have you got a gig that went so badly you can't forget about it?
Yeah.
Go on.
Possibly my least favourite, I talked about it a little bit on Last One Loving, was one in Middlesbrough. I think it was Middlesbrough Town Hall, and the audience got into an argument with each other in the middle as to whether they liked me or not.
Wow.
So it was nice that some people were sticking up for me, and the people that did like me, they did win, and so they were like, "Carry on, keep going." But then I continued, and it was like, we don't like you enough to actually go with this. And then the show finished, and I've never been chatted up more in my life. I think this is proof, about men not liking funny women. They were like, "Oh, look at this poor idiot." I can get her. So you have a good gig, and the men, you're like, "Hello?" No one's around. But Middlesbrough, bombing in Middlesbrough, that's what you can pull. Yeah.
I mean, are you traumatized? Will you go back to Middlesbrough?
I actually have not been back to Middlesbrough. I guess I need to face it one day.
Yeah, you like facing your fears.
There we go.
It's a good thing for you.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing that's really humbling is being a parent. And often you could do something great at work where you feel so chuffed about yourself, come home and you're instantly humbled and grounded. Does that happen often?
Oh, it happens. It happens all the time. I think it's incredibly healthy. Like friends of mine are like, "Oh, but what do you think about if Mabel like listens to this or watches this when she's older?" And I'm like, she's not gonna care. Like, why? You're not gonna want to watch your mum.
No.
She's not interested in that. And I think it's very healthy. I think especially doing something like this where it's so self-indulgent, and you're talking about yourself and your I think it's very good to be brought back down to earth.
I agree.
5 times a day.
Yeah, oh yeah, at least. My best one was when my son was about, well, he was maybe 18 months old or something. I had done this really lovely documentary about Coldplay. They were making that album Ghost Stories, and it was all really gorgeous and quite grand. We're going to these lovely studios and waxing lyrical about all these unusual instruments they were using, and I was really loving it. And I'd interviewed Chris Martin at the end of the day, got home on an absolute high, like just loving the whole day that I've had. And it was bath time when I get in, so I was putting my son in the bath, and as I picked him up, he just shit all over the floor. It was just a tsunami of shit that I had to deal with, and it was like, oh, I'm home, and I interviewed Chris Martin, but this is my actual life.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's mad.
It is. It's absolutely mad.
Yeah.
It's just completely bonkers. What keeps you feeling calm and centered in a job that is hectic hour-wise, and also just the relentless nature of now? I think comedy's changing in so many ways because there's not only you doing stand-up. There's now social media is this huge part of it where you need to be creating your own content and making stuff that draws people into your world.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's a lot of different jobs within it, I think now, but I think that is just what life has kind of become for a lot of people. Like there's just everything, there's just more that you have to do. I think friends that I think that's also a good thing about coming through divorce, like you realize what good friends have, and I think I've found like a really good like community of women, and that's the most amazing thing. And it's also making sure that I'm spending enough time with Mabel.
Yeah.
That's something that you have to kind of make sure that you're doing when things are a bit crazy. It's like that's something I'm learning is trying to prioritize a little bit and be like I find it so hard to say no to things because you just feel like everything's going to go away.
Yeah.
And so that is a real fear that I have, but you have to
I don't
otherwise.
think that ever goes. I mean,
Yeah.
I've absolutely got that. I panic all the time that I just won't have a job next year.
Yeah.
I don't think that ever leaves you. It's just a constant sort of worry. And it is quite a weird, flimsy job to be in. It's not like, oh, we've got a contract and you're working here for the next 4 or 5 years. It's like you just hope people keep liking what you're doing.
That is it. I do know a lot of men though that I'm not sure if that applies
Right, yeah.
to them. Yeah, they're like, yeah, of course, people want to
Gonna be
employ
here
me.
forever.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I do think it can be a slightly more female skewing
I
thing,
mean, well, the
maybe.
world of comedy is incredibly male heavy. Like it's disproportionately male in the stand-up world, and we can look back and go, yes, French and Saunders were there and they were doing their thing back in the day, but they were the anomalies. There was really not much else going on. Did you find that when you were certainly on the stand-up circuit that bothered you?
Yeah, definitely. I think it has shifted a bit, but it hasn't shifted enough. But when I started, I hardly ever gigged with other women. It was like they'd put one woman on reluctantly because they knew they should.
Mm.
But then you never gigged with other women. So often the weekends I'd just be with older men who were all mates, and then I'd just be there, and it is kind of lonely. And now the women in comedy, we've got such a good network. We're everyone's kind of really got each other's back, because I think as well when you start, you're told that you're each other's kind of enemies. If there's one spot on everything on every show, then there's only one of you that can get it, and that feels horrible. And actually it's much better if we're a group, and it's really nice if we can be together. So yeah, I think it has. And also when I used to go on stage, when you're just on with a bunch of men that are quite similar, then when you walk out, it was like I guess like a subconscious thing. But I remember when I would walk out on stage, sometimes men would just get up and go to the toilet, because they'd be like, oh, this is the toilet break.
Wow.
But it wouldn't even be like a conscious thing. They'd just be like, oh, this isn't going to apply to me, I'll just go to the toilet now.
Yeah.
And so you're given more of a chance, I think, most places, hopefully.
But do you then therefore feel like you've got to prove yourself more?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you feel like you can't. You are the one that has to show them that they should like women, and it's got so much better. But it used to be people coming up to you and saying, "Oh, like I don't usually find women funny, but I
Wow.
think." And you're like, You've never had a funny sister or friend or aunt? Like, this is madness. Like, the funniest people I know are women. Like, this
Yes.
is craziness. And it's often women that would be saying that. It's like hard to get your head around, and I think it is happening less.
But I
Again, I'm
guess,
manifesting that.
yeah,
It's happening less.
it's happening less. But I guess whatever, we all grew up watching a lot of male comedians on TV, on sitcoms, or if you were, lucky enough to sort of go to watch a stand-up show. So I guess it's just that's what you're used to. You're used to seeing a man in
Yeah.
that role, and now, as you say, we've got this amazing wave of female comics who are doing their thing and just blowing that theory out the water.
And hopefully young girls will see that, and then they'll know that that's a thing available to them. I think it's a thing where if you grow up watching it, then you're like, oh, that is a thing that I could do, whereas it wasn't anything I ever thought that I could do.
No, of course. Oh, it's such a brilliant thing. I love it. So you've got what's coming up for the rest of the year for you? Have you got your touring?
Yeah, I need to. I'm going to do another show. So I need to do that, and trying to do lots of writing and random bits, and yeah, the podcast. So yeah,
Podcasting is so great. You talking there about female comedians all coming together, and other people might pit you against each other or compare you, but actually you've got this really lovely little group that all support each other. I think podcasting's like that. I've made so many
yeah,
mates like Elizabeth Day and Jamie Lang and Jake Humphrey and Rongan Chatterjee, and everyone, anyone could listen to any one of those, and you could pit them against each other. But actually, it's such a lovely little supportive world where everyone champions each other, and it's really lovely.
I think it's true. I don't know if it's a thing that it's because people you kind of do it yourself. It's like a thing that you don't need anyone else for it. You can just do it yourself. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
a reason.
Well, you can just do what you make up the rules.
Yeah.
You can just say whatever you want, which is good and bad at times.
Yes.
Well, it's so brilliant. And you've got your daughter here today. You're going to go and check
Yeah.
out the kids area?
Yeah, we're loving the kids area. Yeah, she's got face painted.
Yes.
It's all go.
Are you going to do like a sound bath or something?
Oh, that would be nice.
Done one before?
I did do one actually in LA, and I just got really cross, which I don't know is the right is the right reaction, but I found it very stressful. So I think that's probably a sign I need more sound bath.
Yeah, what was it? Just anger came up?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just like, oh God, why is that dog like gonging happening all the time? But that's the whole thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's the whole thing. That's why you're there. Well, it's not for everyone. We say this all the time. You might try yoga and think, I absolutely hate this, or you might do a sound bath and think it's a load of old shit. Do you pick the thing that you like doing? That's the whole point, isn't it? I don't like when, I don't even like the words wellness or well-being, but when it's prescriptive, it's so annoying because you think, oh, I'm meant to be loving this, and when then you
Yeah.
don't, you feel like there's a problem with you. You've
Yeah,
got to find the thing you like.
I completely agree. Like yoga, I could never quite get into, but reformer Pilates, I love for some reason. I think it's because you're lying down. There's just something that you just move your arms and legs. I just find it so like it is hard, but there's just something about just being able to lie down, like that you're encouraged that that's what you have to do.
Yeah, you're
I
forced
love
to
it.
almost.
Yeah,
Yeah, find your thing.
yeah,
Clara Ampho was here this morning. She loves a bit of reformer Pilates as well. That's her thing.
it's great.
Find your thing. Make wellness whatever you want it to be. Well, look, Harriet, I'm going to end by asking you a question that actually, did I ask Clara this morning? I meant to ask everyone, and I always forget. There's irony involved because the question is, where is your happy place? We ask everybody this.
I have like three.
You can do three.
So one is on stage when it's going well and I feel like I'm myself and now like you're in a flow. One is I love snowboarding. It's when you're in the mountains and it's snowboard. There's just like a kind of flow state, which I think is a bit like stand up when you're kind of in it, like it's this flow state. And then the other one has to be like at home with Mabel and my dog.
How long do you reckon it took you to get into flow state with your stand up? Because I think that again requires not just natural ability, but hours and hours of practice to feel comfy. Because when I do stuff like this, I feel absolutely at home, super, super comfortable. I might have a healthy amount of nerves before I do it, but when I'm in it, I feel really, really relaxed. Whereas there's other things, like if you told me to do stand up, I would feel the most unrelaxed, or sing, I would feel terrified. How long did it take you to get to that point?
I think it just depends. It's not a thing that you have every single gig. And so when you get into that flow state, it's amazing. And I'd have flashes of it at the beginning, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is it." And then you'd do one show, and you wouldn't quite get it. And so the great thing with stand-up that I love is it is a journey. It's a thing you can do for the rest of your life and just keep getting better at. And there's always something that you're working on and you're trying to improve. And that is one of the reasons I think that I love it so much. You're never as good as you want to be.
Yeah, I love that about this. It's just like you can hopefully just keep getting better and better. It's sort of a limitless thing. It's so great. Are there comedians that you look to that you think, oh my God, they're it, they're nailing it. I want that.
I think Maria Bamford is somebody. I don't know if you've ever seen her. She's an American comic, and she's like kind of very like raw on stage, and she's completely kind of her own thing, and her jokes are so funny. They're kind of dark, but they're they're brilliant, and she's so funny and unique. So I love her, and I love Nate Bargatze, this American comic who's a bit kind of like, he's kind of like a regular guy, but he's a bit like offbeat, and yeah, he's really funny, and he's killing it in America right now.
Okay, we'll check them out. And my final question is, have you ever been hotter than this in your entire life?
Never. I have sweat in places I didn't know I had. It's madness.
I don't know if I'm even here anymore.
Yeah.
Slightly died.
Yeah. Is everyone okay?
Yeah.
No.
They've got fans. They're fine. We haven't. We've got nothing. Not even a light breeze. But look, we can go and I might go home, get naked and stand in front of a fan. If that's all right with you. If that's okay with you. Harriet, you're an absolute joy. I love you. And thank you so much for being at the Happy Place
This was
Festival.
so
Give it
fun.
up for
Thank
Harriet
you.
Kemsley.